Hello again, race fans, and welcome back to the shores of Lake Washington. It's the 2024 Apollo Mechanical Cup at Seafair. My name is Brad Luce. I am here with John Walters on the start-finish line. We are getting ready to go racing with our H1 Unlimited hydroplanes. It will be Heat 3A. We've got 4 boats scheduled to go in the heat. Monitoring the H1 radio, all 4 of those boats are in the water. They are ready to go. From a boat standpoint, we'll strap in drivers and we will start a countdown from 10 minutes until our race. We are scheduled to go at 12:30. Seafair would like to take this opportunity to thank Apollo Mechanical Contractors. Apollo Mechanical Contractors is proud to be a sponsor of Seafair. We believe in supporting events that enhance the lives of our community and help build people who build great things. Check out apollomechanical.com to learn more. Apollo Mechanical Contractors, thank you from Seafair. Seafair would also like to thank Barnhart Cranes. Barnhart Crane is one of the largest heavy lift and heavy transport organizations in the United States with over 50 years of service to our community and our customers. Barnhart prides itself on providing innovative solutions for its customers' needs. Seafair would like to thank Lumen. Strap in for high-flying, blazing fast internet with quantum fiber internet. Get symmetrical speeds up to 8 gigs at a great price. Learn more at Q, that's the letter Q.com. And today's air show, which will follow our upcoming heats of H1 Unlimited competition, today's air show is made possible by the Boeing Company. Each year, Boeing proudly partners with more than 300 community organizations in our state through grants and sponsorships. Thank you to Boeing for supporting Seafair for the last 75 years. Most organizations struggle to find effective IT solutions. Not with NetTech. NetTech has created an IT subscription program that includes the hardware, software, security, and support, so employees can focus on their work and owners can sleep at night. So we're monitoring the radio and getting close to a countdown for our Heat 3A, which is coming up here in about 10 minutes from right now. But this gives me an opportunity to talk about a new initiative that H1 Unlimited has undertaken. And H1 Unlimited has announced that they will begin with this weekend's 75th running of the Seafair on Lake Washington. They will kick off their Hydros and Heroes initiative. The organization will kick off Hydros and Heroes, where each unlimited hydroplane will carry the name of a fallen officer from the state of Washington. H1 Unlimited has teamed with Behind the Badge Foundation to identify the fallen officers and work hand in hand with their families to arrange not only for their names to be carried on the boats, but compliments of Beacon Electric and Beacon Plumbing and Strong Racing. They will also have a chance for those families to visit the boats in person. Custom decals have been placed on the uprights of each hydroplane at the base of each fairing to honor their respective fallen officer. H1 Unlimited and Hydros for Heroes, we thank all of those heroes and their families for their support and their dedication to our community. Hydros and Heroes from H1 Unlimited. I hear a lot of chatter in my ear. John, are you wired up? Have we been we getting countdowns yet? How close are we?
Actually, we're getting really close. I don't think that we're far away at all. We've got all the boats in the water. Most of the drivers are strapped in. Canopies are still up on a few of them there, so we're waiting the countdown to 5 to the 5.
Very good. And while you were saying that, John, I happened to look at the monitor for those of us who are watching on the H1 Unlimited live stream. Mickey Washburn, our crackerjack pit cameraman, had the camera right on the fairing of one of the boats down there, and those online were able to see the name of a fallen officer in the line of duty and see how the names have been put on the side of the boats. Hydros and Heroes. There we go again for those of you online getting a good look there at the the decal on the back of the boat for Sergeant Nelson K. Ing. Got his badge number on there. We salute all of our fallen heroes, the H1 Unlimited Hydros and Heroes Initiative, partnering with the Behind the Badge Foundation. Great shot there on the folks online. How about that, John? From
that's a beauty shot.
Up on the pit tower there, looking at 1, 2, 3 boats in the water. Oh, I can see the nose of a fourth one way over there on the left. You see the 91. The Mercury's Coffee's got the sling on them. They're not coming in for Heat 3A, but they will be ready for 3B. Let's take a look, John, at our boats that are going to come out and compete in our Heat 3A. We're going to start with a boat that needs points. In fact, our first two boats both need points. It's the U12, the Graham Trucking. It's going to be Bobby King behind the wheel. Going to be joined by the U35, Gutters by Keith, presents the Boitano Homes. Then a boat that really impressed both you and me yesterday, the U40, the Flavor Pack, Dustin Eccles behind the wheel. And, of course, the U91, Miss Goodman Real Estate. And I say, of course, because he's been so quick. He was our top qualifier, leader in national high points right now. But he got beat yesterday afternoon, so there is some intrigue for sure in our racing today.
He did. And every time these guys run, they're not only aware of what they're doing, but they're aware of what the competitors are doing, too. And it's a pretty small community here, and we don't necessarily share that information, but guys see things that can help their team as well. And the Goodman Real Estate boat won the first two races, was very fast over in Tri-Cities. Quick qualifier here again. Andrew Tate does a great job.
Yes, he does. And anytime you draw anybody with the name of Tate, you better buckle up a little bit tighter because you're going to have your hands full. So it will be the Graham Trucking. The boat is predominantly red and black, got a little bit of silver trim on it. Have we got Erica? I'm understanding we do have Erica Allreed in the pit area. Let's go down to her. Erica, take it away.
U40 pack bucket race team is incredibly hard on handling all season, and driver Dustin Eccles told me this morning they're finally there. That was full display yesterday for his first heat win of the 2024 season. He said the boat is loose to get over the slot the way he likes, not too loose where he's going to crash or do anything catastrophic to his race. Finally, medium with the boat, and it gives him much more confidence. It is much more manageable, and they now have that adjustability with the boat for different race courses, and it took them the first part of the season to learn what they needed to alter to get there. Between that and the recent gearbox changes, he couldn't be happier with his machinery's performance, so now it's up to him to work cohesively with it and put it out in front for he, the team, and their sponsors.
Thank you very much, Erica. Good stuff, as always, down there in the pit area. We are getting close to running our Heat 3A. Again, John, let's take a look at the boats. We got the U12, the Graham Trucking. That is the black and red boat trimmed in silver. It's driven by young Bobby King. Joining him in the field is a boat that is white, trimmed in green, got a black and white checkerboard effect above the sponson. That's the U35. Gutters by Keith presents Boitano Homes. That's going to be young Gunnar O'Farrell behind the wheel of that one. The U40, the Flavor Pack, it is bright yellow and blue. It will be in this particular heat. Those of you who are looking online at the 8-minute and 15-second mark will see that boat up in the upper left-hand corner of your screen. Can't miss it. Brightly colored, the Flavor Pack, driven by Dustin Eccles. The boat was a rocket ship yesterday. We'll see if they can continue that today. And then it will be the black, gold, and white Miss Goodman Real Estate, the U91 Andrew Tate out of Canton, Michigan. He will be handling the driving chores. John, always a good sight when you get ready to go hydroplane racing and you see the patrol boats coming away from the dock and headed out to get situated on the race course, because we can't race until they're in place, and they're in the process of doing that right now.
That's absolutely correct, and we hope that we don't need those people out there, but sure nice to have them there. And as you mentioned, we absolutely cannot run this race without the safety people and the rescue people, divers, and everyone in place.
That is certainly for the safety of our drivers and everybody else here along Lake Washington. And we would like to remind our swimmers, if we've got some of them in the water, and the temperature is beginning to push northward here a little bit, so there may be some folks in the water. If you are in the water, we ask that you now start making your way to the shoreline, because boats cannot come out on the Ted Jones Racecourse until we have all swimmers out of the water. Parents, if you've got some kids down there enjoying the wonderful waters of Lake Washington, if you can have them come out for a few minutes, throw them a towel. We're going to go racing here in about 2 minutes. We're at the 6-minute and 50-second mark. Boats will come out on the race course at the 5-minute mark. And, John, something that came into play yesterday, we've got a new rule from a year ago that at the 5-minute mark, a crew member must have physical contact with the boat at the dock. And one of our boats yesterday jumped away from the dock a little bit quick. They did not have physical contact with the boat at the 5-minute mark, and they incurred a penalty and were radioed by the officials to move to the far outside.
They definitely did, and that's one of our new rules this year, is that a crew member has to have physical contact with the boat. That's in an effort to try and keep everybody, leaving at the same time, so no one gets an advantage based on pit position or dock position to get to that race course first and try to establish the lane they want.
So John and I have been talking this morning about a new start procedure, and we've got we've got a hold on the clock at 6 minutes, and I have to believe that has got to be a rescue boat related, because when John and I were talking, the boats were literally about halfway to where they needed to get, and now they look to be in that position now, and we're now being told by the officials that, yes, that's what the hold was on the countdown. John, sometimes we make a comment here that we're not trying to make a moon launch here with one of these things, but I think with T-minus 6:01, we've got a hold on the countdown. Maybe it sounds kind of like a moon launch.
It does a little bit, and these things are pretty scientific, and actually we've got a fair amount of guys that are working on these things, helping to design, build them, and keep them safe that actually are rocket scientists, so it's not too far off base.
No, it is not. So we'll keep an eye on the clock. We're sitting at 6:01. I don't know if they'll re-rack it up to maybe 6:30 or 7. We will see what they decide to do. But we are just outside of 1 minute to the 5-minute mark for Heat 3A of the 2024 Apollo Mechanical Cup at Seafair. There's a lot of chatter, and they are resetting the clock. We'll see where they end it, and it looks like we are looking now at 6:50 and counting. T-minus 6:45 and counting. Do you like that, John? A little T-minus?
A little T-minus stuff. I like that. And I remember a boat in the days past that was called T+.
There you go. T. All right, so now we hit 6:46 and we stop the clock again. I guess they are checking the safety zone down in turn 1. Just make sure it is as it should be. There are 3 zones on this particular race course that the race boats cannot cut through. They can cut the race course from the back to the front and the front to the back in certain places, but there's 3 spots they cannot go through. Those are called safety zones. That's because there are patrol boats in those areas, and if you put your boat in one of those safety zones, that is an automatic disqualification. You are done at that point, and again, it is safety related. It's Heat 3A. We are close to starting the racing for our Heat 3A. Looking at the pits there on the monitor, we're looking right at the U-91, the Goodman Real Estate. Andrew Tate clearly is in the cockpit. Then beyond him, we see the 2 Beacon boats. They are in the water, and the Miss Apollo is in the water. They are going to run in our Heat 3B, but those boats are already in the water because, John, we're running these things, like I say, on the 20s. Every 20 minutes, we're going to start another heat. So these heats come quick. The boats for our next heat are already in the creek.
That's another thing that H1 has done over the wintertime, and part of that came from the competition committee, and part of it came from the board of directors. The effort here is to keep boats on the water, keep it exciting, keep things moving, and keep things to where we don't have a lot of space with nothing going on here. And that makes it kind of difficult for the race teams to be able to turn around if they're in a back-to-back heat. You've got a lot of work to do in a short period of time, but that's what makes it fun. That's what separates the good guys from the guys that almost made it.
Absolutely. So, I'm seeing some comments out there that, not understanding perhaps why they may not be ready. They've had all morning to get ready. Well, the difference here is those patrol boats have to come off that race course while we are in air show related activities. So they didn't start out to get in their position until just a few minutes ago. So they are in position now. The countdown clock has resumed. 6 minutes and 30 seconds, 6:30 until the start. John, when the boats get out on the race course, we are going to review in detail the start procedure because it's a little different than what we've done in the past. But I think it has worked extremely well so far, and we'll see how it goes. But the first box that has to be ticked before the boats can make a legal start is they can't leave the dock until the 5-minute mark, and a crew member must have physical contact with the boat at that point, at the 5-minute mark. You explained it very well. That's so nobody gets a distinct advantage coming off of the dock. And for those who are watching online, you can see a crew member at the back of the U-12, the Graham Trucking, and he's got his hand on the left side fairing at the back of the boat. That is his job. He's got to hang on to that until such time as the clock says 5:00. We are at 5:40 right now, counting down to that 5-minute mark. And if we keep the camera right there, those online will be able to see the contact that the crew member must have. That's the first part of the puzzle, John. Then the next piece involves a score-up buoy, which is right here at start-finish line, and the boats have to be behind the start-finish line at the 1 minute and 15-second mark. We'll count ourselves down to that. Coming up on 5 minutes to the start of our Heat 3A, 4 boats will be ready to go here momentarily. We are inside 5 seconds to the 5-minute mark. 2, 1, mark. 5 minutes. Now they can take the hand off the boat there on the fairing. You see the boat begin to spool up. They push the rear end away from the dock so they don't make contact. And you just looked at the U-12, the Graham Trucking, those of you online, coming away from the dock. All our boats are coming away from the dock, and this is the 5-minute gun, and now it is time to go racing. Once again, here's who we're going to have in our Heat 3A. It's the U-12, the Graham Trucking, the boat driven by young Bobby King. It is black, red, and trimmed in silver. Then it's the U-35. Gutters by Keith presents Boitano Homes. Gunnar O'Farrell handles the driving duties on that one. The boat is predominantly white, trimmed in green with a black and white checkerboard effect on the decking. Then it's that bright blue and yellow U-40, the flavor pack. Dustin Eccles will be driving that one. And then it's the black, gold, and white Miss Goodman Real Estate with Andrew Tate out of Canton, Michigan. The boats, the Graham Trucking, the Boitano Homes, flavor pack, Goodman Real Estate. The start of our Heat 3A is just a couple of minutes away, and Seafair once again reminds you that for your own safety and the safety of those around you, everyone must be out of the water when the hydros are on the Ted Jones race course. Now it's time to get out of the water and enjoy the world's fastest race boats. John, I look up, I got 1, 2, 3, 4 boats. Everybody went up to the top end. Nobody cut across the course.
Yeah, everybody's coming off the exit pin up here by the bridge turn, and Bobby is on the outside there. Everybody's kind of lined up together there. I'd say they're running probably in the neighborhood of 120, 125 miles an hour or so. Kind of sizing up the water, trying to take a look at what lane they want to run in, and how's the best way for them to get there.
Well, so far as we look out across the water, Andrew Tate in the U-91, he's sitting on an inside lane, but we've still got 3 minutes. 3 minutes until the start. Just ahead of Andrew and out front of him on the right is Dustin Eccles in the U-40, but we had our first boat jump across to the other side. That's going to be Bobby King in the U-12, the Graham Trucking. He has jumped over to the backstretch, so if he wanted an inside lane, John, he could jump over and be on that inside lane on the buoy row. We'll see if that's what his plan is. as we come up on 240 to the start of our Heat 3A.
And he could indeed, be able to run in that inside lane. It's a little bit different program that we're seeing here right now based on the start itself, but also Andrew Tate typically likes to start in lane 2 or 3. It's a little bit different to see him in the inside lane here. The inspector in me just happened to notice earlier today that they changed the skid fin this morning during testing, so they may have found something there.
And this is exactly what we saw yesterday from Bobby King in the U12 as he comes across the start-finish line now at a pretty good rate of speed. He's going to cut the race course down here. Come on, Bobby. Attaboy. He's going to cut the race course and come up behind everybody else. The other boats are not yet to the entrance pit of the corner at the top end as we get to 2 minutes. They've got to be behind the start-finish line at 1:15. And they are going to cruise the rest of the way just like that, and they're at least going to score up with Tate in 1, Eccles in 2. I believe Gunner, he is sitting in lane number 3. That's Gunner O'Farrell in the U35, and I am sure Bobby King is going to come to the outside of those boats. Everybody so far coming slowly off the top end of the course, and if you're thinking they can't go below 80 miles an hour, oh yes they can. That rule is out the window. So what they are doing right now is perfectly legal. They just can't cross this line until $1:15. They are at 5 seconds until that. Now keep an eye on Bobby King coming on the outside, maybe coming with some speed. There's one mark. It is a clean score up. Certainly it was clean. We now get it officially that it was a clean score up. And now the boats are trying to just defend their lanes down there. They have not yet established their lanes. They will do that when they get to the entrance pin of turn 2. And for somebody to move in on somebody else, they're going to have 5 boat lengths of overlap. The officials will watch that very closely. Nobody is trying to give it a squirt and move out in front. John, I think they're going to stay just the way they are right now as they get to the top end of the course and the commitment buoy.
I would agree. At this point, they're going to probably pretty well be established in these lanes. As you mentioned, somebody could come zipping up from the side, from any place there, and as long as you get a 5 boat length overlap, you're able to move over and take another lane. This race course, the straightaways are so short. If you don't do that right at the exit pin, you don't have time, and you give up so much time on the other end of the clock. You really have to go slow at the starting line.
Our boats are bunched up at the top end of the race course as we approach 15 seconds to the start. It's about a 9-second run off the top end of the course. We are at 10 seconds now. See if these guys don't put the hammer down, and they are. Tate is in 1, Eccles in 2, O'Farrell in 3. On the outside is Bobby King. We are 1 second. Mark should be a clean start. Andrew Tate with a jump on the field. He's got a couple of boat lengths from lane number 1. Legally, the start was good. The officials have cleaned it. So down to the bottom end of the race course, Andrew Tate on an inside lane with a lot of boat speed and a jump. He's going to be tough to drive around, but Dustin Eccles is right with him. He's back about 3 or 4 boat lengths, John. Now it's all about acceleration and top end up the back chute.
Yeah, Dustin's got a lot of top end on him, but again, unfortunately, because the race course is so short here, he's not always able to use that. Andrew's going to be really tough on the inside. They're fast and very difficult to get around, and like I say, they've made some changes in the skid fin there, so I think that he's able to run right on the buoy line. You can see he slid out just a little bit more. Dustin's right on his hip there, a couple of boat lengths back.
Dustin is not going to go away. He's going to try and stay in that right side rear view mirror of Andrew Tate as he flies the 91 across the start-finish line and puts lap 1 of 3 in the books. Then it is Dustin Eccles still trying to give a valiant chase in that U40, the flavor pack. Then we go back to 3rd place. It's Gutters by Keith presents Boitano Holmes and Gunner O'Farrell. And then it is Bobby King and the Graham Trucking off the bottom end of the race course here on lap number 2 of 3. We are halfway through our Heat 3A, and now Andrew Tate has started to open up water. He's got over a full rooster tail on Dustin Eccles, and I'm expecting, John, we're going to see Dustin Eccles pull his foot here in a bit. This isn't where the big trophy is. You gave it a good run. I would suggest he probably is going to let Andrew go at some point.
I would think so too. They're going to take a look at the boat ride here and maybe make some adjustments for the next one. Andrew's got everybody covered here right now. There's no reason to take an extra risk or hurt equipment. They're scoring enough points at this point so that's their ticket to the final, and that's when you let it all hang out.
Yeah, both those guys running 1st and 2nd are going to find their way in the final. 3rd across the line here as they start the final lap is Gunner O'Farrell driving that U35, and then it's Bobby King in the black and red Graham Trucking. Bottom end of the race course. Now it's a couple rooster tail lead for Andrew Tate. He got the jump on the field with a very good start, and he was on that inside lane. That spelled a victory here if he can hold it together. Tate at the top end of the race course. on the final time around. Lap number 3 of 3, the U91, the Goodman Real Estate, our national high points leader. He will come down, look to his right, pick up a checkered flag. It is hanging in the center of the race course as well. Andrew Tate, U91, Goodman Real Estate will pick up 400 points here, at least on the water, with a victory in our Heat 3A. A good run here, and this boat is quick. This boat is really quick. The U40, the Flavor Pack, Dustin was back a little bit at the start and behind Andrew Tate. He was unable to run him down. Gunnar O'Farrell with a very good run in that U35. Gutters by Keith presents Boitano Homes, and then it's Bobby King in the U12, the Graham Trucking. 4 started, 4 finished on the water. That was the order. We have to remind everybody the boats do have to go through tech inspection. They will do that. There is a data acquisition box aboard each one of those boats. They will get back to the dock. A crew member or an official will get on that boat, pull that box out of the boat. They'll run it up the SEF partial up in the tech truck. He will look at a couple of points up there. He'll look at fuel flow, and he will look at what we call an N2, which is the output shaft of the turbine. You can only spin that output shaft so fast for lack of getting into some deep percentages and speeds and all that. But there are limits to how fast you can spin the output shaft of the turbine. That's what they will check. That information will be in the data acquisition box. John, what did you see in Heat 3A?
I saw a definite change there with Andrew Tate and the Goodman Real Estate boat. Yesterday they ran second, but they did that in lane 2. Again, this morning I saw that they were making some changes. He went out, and there was no question when they left the dock that Andrew wanted lane 1. Dustin, I think, thought that he had the top end, that he might be able to drive around him from on the outside there. So they're going to make some changes. I would guess they probably come down on propeller a little bit so that they can, have that punch combination when they come off the exit pin there. Gunnar, he looked better than he did this morning, and every lap he gets in the boat, I think he builds himself some more confidence and feels like he's becoming a racer now, not just a boat driver. And then Bobby back there, he's struggling because they haven't got much time on the boat. They did not run the first 2 races back east. They showed up in Tri-Cities. Unfortunately, were involved in a very bad accident. Fortunately, nobody was hurt, but the boat got beat up a little bit. And so rather than making changes and improvements, they were just making repairs to be able to get back to where they were, the starting point.
So our boats are headed back to the Stansares Memorial Pit area. And anything that I saw in that heat as we look online as Andrew Tate climbs out of the cockpit of the U91, the Goodman Real Estate. But the conversations I had with my party as we were driving down to the race course this morning, everything I just saw just supported what I thought coming down here, and that was that Corey Peabody, the last 2 times he squared off against Andrew Tate, he was inside Andrew, and Andrew was unable to get around him. Well, I think they just went out, and from what I saw, John, you talk about a new skid fin, new setup there. He definitely wanted to see how that boat would run in lane 1, because I think he knows he may have to be inside of Corey if he's going to beat him in that final. And to your point, I think what we saw from Dustin Eccles, he's going to have to go back and go, I've got to be more on time than I was if I'm going to have any chance of beating that gold and black boat from an outside lane. What does all that mean to me and what I saw? The 5-minute milling period before the final is going to be really interesting.
Yeah, it absolutely will be. There's going to be 3 races in the final. The one will be, fighting for the lanes and everything. And then with this new start configuration, like we've mentioned before, there literally are 2 starts in each heat now, which is the most exciting part of the race for most fans, and they get to see that. So now it's up to SEF if they can clear the truck back there with their, technical stuff. And like you mentioned, there's 2 things that are checked. N2, which is the speed, RPM speed of the power turbine assembly. These things, when they're rated from Lycoming at 15,300 RPM, is 100%. So they're allowed 10% more than that. And they're allowed to go over that, for small amounts of time, like 3 seconds. If you get 3 of those violations in 1 lap, that's considered a flagrant violation and a disqualification. Then the fuel, these engines, run unrestricted fuel when they're in helicopters, and they're capable of making about 2,500 horsepower, depending on the model and the series. With these engines, we're making some changes. changes, doing some things a little bit different. We try to run them a little bit harder, a little bit hotter, and a little bit faster if we can. And that fuel flow is limited at 4.2 gallons per minute. There are flow dividers in there that are offered or provided rather by H1 that tests the high pressure and the low pressure fuel. That's monitored very closely, and again, you can be disqualified for using too much.
John, great description. I think Erica is standing by with our winner, Andrew Tate. Erica, take it away.
Andrew, a flawless execution of that race before the race to the checkered flags. So what was the strategy to project yourself out front early in that one?
Well, we've kind of stayed conservative, stayed clean, stayed on the outside. So it's time to go find out, get into lane 1 for this final. I think no one was really cutting or doing anything crazy, so we kind of just settled in and took it. But yeah, we know we can run there. We know we got a good boat. So on to the last one here.
And all season long, we've seen you favor lanes 2 and 3. And now, again, like you mentioned, we saw you get yourself into lane 1. So what prompted that change?
Oh, we got beat yesterday. Honestly, Seattle and Lake Washington, it's a rough race course. And if you can get to the starting line in lane 1 with boat speed, then you got a good shot at taking home the cup, so the Apollo Cup. That's kind of where we're at. That's kind of what our thinking was. So we know we got a boat that can stay in lane 1, which is, I guess a good measuring stick come this afternoon.
Well, a job well done in that one. We look forward to seeing you back out there later. Congratulations.
You got it. Thank you.
Erica, great job talking with Andrew Tate. Son of a gun, John, it kind of sounded like what we were just talking about. He wanted to go out there and find out what lane 1 was about, and if he could run in lane 1, clearly he can. Gee, there's a guy pitted just to the left of him named Corey Peabody who he kind of likes lane 1 too. This final heat is going to be good, and we're going to have 4 boats, I think, in lane 1. It may get a little tight. The milling period should be interesting. Fans, you're going to like this because we are inside 1 minute to the 5-minute mark for our Heat 3B. The boats in Heat 3B, the U1, the Beacon Electric, J. Michael Kelly will behind the wheel of that one. It is bright red, trimmed in yellow. He's going to be joined by his teammate, the aforementioned Corey Peabody in the U9, the blue and white Beacon Plumbing. Then it's the black, red, and white U11 Miss Mercury's Coffee with Jamie Nielsen, and the red, white, and blue, the Stars and Stripes on the U27, the Miss Apollo, and the winningest H1 Unlimited driver in the history of the sport, Dave Vilwalk. Boy, what would it mean for somebody, John, like Apollo, who's sponsoring the event, to have a good run here out of the Miss Apollo and pick up a heat win?
It's amazing for them, and that's not only the it's good for the sport, it's good for the team, it's good for everybody involved. And I remember in the days that I was working with boats, driving boats, and even crew chief on some boats. It's a lot of pressure though on the boat team because it's your hometown, it's your sponsor's event.
We are inside 5 minutes. Boats are coming out on the race course, and that was the 5-minute mark, and now it's time to go boat racing. Here's who will be racing in our Heat 3B. The U1, the Beacon Electric, J. Michael Kelly. Corey Peabody behind the wheel of the U9, the Beacon Plumbing. Jamie Nielsen will handle the driving chores of the Miss Mercury's Coffee. That's the U11. And as John was just talking, the U27, the Stars and Stripes of the Miss Apollo, driven by Dave Vilwalk. The start of Heat 3B is just moments away, and Seafair reminds you that for your own safety and the safety of those around you, everyone must be out of the water when the hydros are on the Ted Jones race course. Now it's time to get out of the water and enjoy the world's fastest race boats. John, I've got a question for you. Corey's been running really good on an inside lane. I think he knows his boat can handle it. I think he knows he's got the speed to get in and out of the corner and to handle it. Does he take a shot and see what the boat will do on the outside here? What do you think?
I think there's some probability that he will. Other than the fact that your boat has to be extremely fast and maybe even faster than the other guys, or you have to make a great start to put your boat in a great position, you have to do more things. It's more difficult to run on the inside. You've got to have a boat that accelerates well. You've got to have a boat that's got good top end. You've got to be able to get to the first turn with the boys and be able to hold that lane when you get there. He seems to be able to do all of that, and you just saw that the Goldman Real Estate boat now also has the ability to do that. So Yeah, I would not be at all surprised to see Corey, maybe move out to lane 2 or lane 3 here, and probably JMK is going to move inside there in the other Beacon boat and run on the inside.
Well, I'll tell you, it's starting to shape up right now like Corey's going to run in 2, because up the backstretch, Jamie Nielsen on the U11, the Mercury's Coffee, cut across the race course, and he's cruising very, very slowly down in turn 1. Again, the 80-mile-per-hour rule is gone. And now entering the lower corner, you've got coming up, you've got 3 boats grouped together. You've got Corey Peabody in the U9, that's the blue and white boat, that's the Beacon Plumbing. In lane number 2 is his teammate, that's the red and yellow boat, the Beacon Electric of J. Michael Kelly. And on the outside is the red, white, and blue of Dave Villwalk. Now, as they come off the bottom end of the race course there and look ahead of them, their spotters are telling them that Jamie Nielsen is that boat they're seeing up in front of them. Jamie, in the Miss Mercury's Coffee, and I know for a fact, and there we can see it on the overhead shot there, Jamie's parked in lane 1. He loves lane 1, and I think he's going to try and hold it all the way down to score up, because they got 1 minute right now to kill before score up.
I think they will, and I think Jamie feels that he needs lane 1 in order to win here. I don't think that, from lane 3 or lane 4, he's got what it's going to take to be able to drive around these other 2 guys, the 2 Beacon boats in particular. Dave, I think, is looking for a good, clean lane, and he kind of likes to run in the middle. He usually likes to run in lane 2 or 3.
What we've been seeing so far today has been some very calm and quiet, for lack of a better term, milling periods before the score up. I can only assure you that is going to change dramatically before we go racing in the final. Coming up on 135 mark right now, 135, which means 20 seconds until the boats can cross the start-finish line to have a legal score-up. They must be behind the start-finish line here in front of John and I at the minute 15-second mark. It appears everybody is going to be well behaved. Here comes Dave with some boat speed on the outside. 2 seconds, 1 mark, 15 now, so should be a very legal score-up from where we're standing. It is a legal score-up. JMK carries a bunch of speed from lane 3 down to the corner, but he's not going to get overlap on anybody, John. I think this is going to be another well-behaved and quiet run up the back chute for the start.
I think so, too. They all got into that turn, at about an even speed there, and if someone was going to do that, I think they would have had a little more of a run from the exit pin to the score-up buoy here to be able to get that 5-boat length as quickly as possible. You want to get it before you get out of the turn.
So inside 40 seconds now to the start of our Heat 3B. It's the 2024 Apollo Mechanical Cup at Seafair. It's our final preliminary heat before we go racing in the winner-take-all final this afternoon. Last chance for some boats to score some points. Dave Villwalk would like to score some solid points here. I know we'd like at least a third. Inside 20 seconds to the start. Boats are at the top end of the course. Lane number 1 is going to go to Jamie Nielsen. Corey Peabody is going to be in 2. J. Michael Kelly's going to be in 3, going to be Villwalk on the outside. Inside 10 seconds, inside 5 seconds till the start. 2 seconds, 1 mark. Appeared to be clean, and Jamie Nielsen gets the jump on the field in the U11, the Miss Mercury's Coffee. It is a legal start. Now watch Nielsen with the lane position. Sometimes he's been known to get these guys on his hip and run away, but he's got a right side rear view mirror, and it's full of Beacon Electric and Beacon Plumbing, John.
It sure is, and Jamie does a great job on those starts all the time, and pun intended here, he's really got that thing percolating as he's headed for the next turn up there by the bridge. It looks like he's got some company on the outside there with Corey who's coming up on the outside real strong. Looks like he might drive around him here.
Top end of the race course, they're going to come off dead even. It is Jamie Nielsen on the inside and driving that U11 Mercury's Coffee. Then it is Corey Peabody in the U9 to Beacon Plumbing. But don't forget about J. Michael Kelly. He is on the outside. Kelly's got a lot of boat speed in that U1, the Beacon Electric. John, he's showing me some speed out there in lane 3.
He absolutely is. We saw earlier today in the testing that he picked up several miles an hour and ran the fastest laps of the weekend for their boat. So they're running really strong. Corey's got holding him inside of him, giving him a good clean lane, but he's kind of taking over the race here. J. Michael Kelly's coming up the outside in the other Beacon boat, and it looks like it's going to be really crowded when they get down to the entrance pin here. But so far, everybody's been really behaving themselves.
Top end of the race course, Corey Peabody got a lead, but he's only got about four boat lengths on teammate J. Michael Kelly in the Beacon Electric. Kelly's running an awfully big race course, but he's trying to let his teammate know, I have got some speed out here in lane number 3. Coming down to pick up the white flag with one more to go. It's Corey Peabody driving a U9 to Beacon Electric. Teammate J. Michael Kelly staying right in that right side rearview mirror. Meanwhile, third place now belongs to Jamie Nielsen as he drops back on an inside lane. Going to be a tall order, John, for JMK to run down his teammate Corey Peabody.
It really is. This is a big, wide race course. It's really difficult to drive around people on the outside unless you're just extremely fast. You can see him coming up through the rooster tail there, and I'm sure that his spotters are telling him that he's got good, clean water. Go ahead and run wherever you want there in the fastest way around the course. Corey's got a pretty good handle on things right now. He's got the inside lane. He can move in and out if he wants to. He doesn't have overlap, so he can't move out far enough to push the competitors to the beach here. But at this point, I don't think he needs it. That boat accelerates so well off the corner. He's going to be to the finish line here real quick.
He's going to be here very quick, but J. Michael Kelly is closing on him. He's going to run out of real estate, but a very strong run. No pun intended again, John, for strong racing. The U9, Corey Peabody first. Second place goes to J. Michael Kelly in the Beacon Electric. Then it is Jamie Nielsen in the U11 of Miss Mercury's Coffee. Dave Villwalk with a solid finish in fourth. John, I was pretty impressed with Mr. JMK in lane 3.
Yeah, and I absolutely am as well. And he has that ability. Like I've said before, he has the ability to come out of nowhere when you think that you've written him off and there's not much chance that he's going to be there. He finds a way to win. Remind everybody that this boat was upside down last weekend in Tri-Cities, so the crews had to work really hard to get it back together, make sure all the systems operate and work properly, make sure, most importantly, that it's safe for J. Michael Kelly and all the competitors on the race course here. So great job to everyone. It was a really fun race.
There's another thing that JMK, he has a pretty good knack of getting an inside lane. And what I just saw there, John, was, boy, if he puts that thing on an inside lane and if he can handle it, you got your hands full driving around that red and yellow one.
Yeah, I would agree with you there for sure. And, in that first heat there, we just saw the Goodman Real Estate boat run very well on the inside lane, and Seattle's always important to get the inside lane. Some people like lane 2 a little better so you don't get pinched and have to run right on the buoy line, but I think today you're going to see that the winner of this race is more than likely going to come from the inside lane.
So good racing in our Heat 3A and some terrific racing there in Heat 3B. I'm sure Corey's going to walk over to his teammate and his childhood friend, J. Michael Kelly, and say, dude, you were filling up my right side rear view mirror. You weren't going away.
Yeah, and that's another thing to remember. In the final, there's going to be 5 laps. So the extra 2 laps might have been enough for him to get up there and really push on Corey.
He was coming. So Heat 3B is in the books, at least on the water, and we did get word from our officials that everything was clean on the water. This is some new transparency that we're getting from the new H1 Unlimited officials. They are letting us know as soon as they do that they are not looking at any calls on the water. Everything was good on the water. The way they finished on the water will stand. It's only subject to tech inspection right now. So we will monitor the radios and make sure we find out when all 4 of our boats, as we're looking on the screen here, as Corey Peabody hops out of the U9, the blue and white Beacon Plumbing. Families are down there. Mike getting out of the boat on the left down the dock. Corey Peabody right there with his wife getting the helmet off. And our Erica Allreed will be there shortly. It's difficult down there on that dock. I know you see some pixelation for those of you who are watching online. We're doing everything we can with the equipment we have to get you a good view of that, and we will hopefully get a good interview here with Corey, and maybe we'll get fortunate enough to grab J. Michael Kelly as well. He drove a heck of a boat race, but the 400 points, assuming everybody clears tech, is going to land on Corey Peabody's boat. That'll be the U9, the Beacon Plumbing. good racing in Heat 3A and 3B. So now what happens is we'll run these boats through tech inspection, as we will for all of the boats in Heat 3A. In fact, everybody has cleared from Heat 3A with the exception of the U35. Gutters by Keith presents Boitano Homes, and that doesn't mean they've had a problem with tech inspection. We just have yet to be advised they have cleared. Once that happens, then we'll clear the boats from 3B, and then when that's done, we'll total up all the points. The top 6 will be on the front row of a winner-take-all 5-lap final coming up later on today. So waiting here now for Erica Allreed to jump in and hopefully have Corey Peabody and or J. Michael Kelly. I'm being told by the H1 Unlimited Livestream they are doing their best to find a spot down there where they can get a clear signal. So those of you here on the shoreline can be a part of an interview with our Erica Allreed and our Heat 3B winner, Corey Peabody. While we wait for her to come and join us, John, you've been here many, many, many times. Preliminaries are done. You know you've made the final heat. What do you do now? How did you used to prepare for a final heat?
Well, you know, we go over everything. You don't want to beat yourself.
Right.
You take a look at every nut and bolt on the boat and the engine and make sure that everything's fine. You go through a systems check. You make sure the starter works. You make sure the start fuel works. You make sure the igniters work. You take a look at all the wings and the wing fairings and everything to make sure that everything's in order. You typically try to, you know, just take a look at everything and make sure that everything's in good shape. I would always like to get, you know, things done a few minutes in advance so that we're not hustling trying to get the boat in the water for the 5-minute gun, and give the guys a little bit of a break. Take some water, take a deep breath, and let's get ready to go out and do some battle here.
So still hoping to catch up with Corey Peabody. As we see our patrol boats coming in off the water, that is what they do when we get ready to go to the air for the air show. Coming up here literally at almost any time will be our air show up in the air.
And I would say at this point in time that most of the teams know the combination they want to run in the final. They've got the engine in there that they're going to run. They've got the gear combination, and probably the biggest thing that's going to change is the propeller. These propellers are extremely expensive. They're made out of forgings these days. 3 blades. You're allowed to run maximum of 3 blades, 16 inches in diameter. The pitch varies depending on the amount of new gearbox that you want to run, and most of the things are, you know, the thinner you can make them, the faster they are, but the least amount of time that you have on them. And these propellers are running for about 100 minutes these days before they end up on a shelf or becoming a doorstop somewhere. So they're going to run a propeller that's a little bit thinner. That's probably, you know, designated a final heat propeller, one that doesn't have an awful lot of time on it, and they're going to throw everything in there. As my friend Bill Muncie used to say, in the final they're getting ready to play for all the money, marbles, and chalk.
It's funny you bring up that bit about the propeller and the thin propeller. When we smartened up and we started bringing in true color commentators like yourself to assist somebody like me who doesn't know near the level of information that you have from a technical standpoint. I first did this with Nate Brown. And Nate Brown and I got to talking about propellers, and he says, Brad, there's an old saying, thin is fast, but it won't last.
Yep.
So exactly what you were just talking about. It may not last very long, but man, it's quick. So if you can get 5 laps out of it, maybe that's all you need.
Yeah, there's special measuring devices, and the blades bend. They flex and move. Every time that thing comes in and out of the water, it flexes and unloads, and it loads and moves around a little bit. And as that metal starts to stretch and grow a little bit, the blades will move farther forward.
I think we've got Erica now, and hopefully she's standing by. With Corey Peabody. Erica, if you can hear me, take it away.
Corey, what a race for you and your team. How'd you find the balance of playing offense and defense in that one? Having to race forward and drive around the U11, but also protect as your teammate was coming on strong there on the end.
Well, you know, we know we got 2 fast boats. We know Jamie's fast, but, you know, it was all about getting through this collecting points and getting to the final. Beacon Plumbing did a great job. The Beacon Electric did a good job. Mercury's Coffee did a great job. Apollo, happy that their boat's out there, and thanks for their sponsorship on the race. But I think the bigger thing is the race for you guys to find internet connection here with you, trying to find doing this shimmy shake over here. But it was a good race. Happy to get the win, and looking forward to the final.
Certainly a job well done in that one. Congratulations to you. And now over to your teammate, Mike. We were chatting earlier, and you said when you pull a motor out of the back of the shop with cobwebs on it, you're never quite sure what you're going to get. But pleasantly, you've been surprised with the way it handled. It was just a matter of fine-tuning to find that speed. So just how satisfying was that drive as you drove up on your teammate to not only prove to yourself that the speed was there, but the rest of the field?
Yeah, no, I mean, it felt great. I mean, for 3 days, we've been trying to find some speed in this boat. This morning, we found some of that speed, so to be able to go out there, run on my teammate's hip, felt pretty good. Finished 1-2, says a lot for the Beacon Electric and Beacon Plumbing teams. They've been working hard, and now it's on to the final, and yeah, I mean, we want to reward these guys for all their hard work during the week, putting my boat back together, and just making these things fast and safe for us to drive.
A lot to be proud of after that one. Congratulations to you both. We look forward to seeing you in the final. Guys.
Wow, what a great job, Erica, down there in the pit area. I was kind of hoping, John, she could grab both of those guys. And I thought it was really interesting for those of you watching, and I know we've got just the live stream people online here because we've had this step away from the PA here at Seafair because the air show is coming up. But John, you heard Corey make a comment about how we had to work around so we could get the internet to work and so we could get a signal, and I think he said something about a shimmy shake. But
Yep.
What nobody knows, except about 6 of us up here on the tower, you go back to the 1950s, John, and we had to put the little tin foil on the rabbit ears of the we had Gio Belcito standing on the edge of the pipes up here and to get the signal, and he started to come down, and Nick says, "No, Gio, don't move." And it was a throwback to the 60s. I'll tell you what, fans, I hope you can appreciate what we just did to get you that interview. And Erica, a great job. Good job by Mickey Washburn, the camera person. That's what it's all about, John. That's kind of fun.
It is. It's teamwork, and there's an awful lot of teamwork going on down there in the pit area. There's an awful lot of teamwork going on up here in the pit tower as well. So congratulations, and it's been a pleasure to work with everybody doing that sort of thing. So way to go, team.
Way to go, Team Gio. That was awesome. Sorry, I had to high five the man here behind us. We do have an update on our Heat 3A. Kim Meredith here has been monitoring the H1 radio. Everybody in Heat 3A has cleared tech inspection. So the finish order on the water, which was Andrew Tate in the U91 Goodman Real Estate in first place. Second place to Dustin Eccles in the U40 Flavor Pack. Third place goes to Gutters by Keith, presents Boitano Homes, Gunnar O'Farrell, and it was Bobby King coming home in fourth in the U12, the Graham Trucking. That's the way they were on the water. That's the way they came out of the tech truck. 1, 2, 3, and 4. We are looking now down to 3B and the Beacon Plumbing. The Beacon Plumbing, the U9, Corey Peabody has cleared tech inspection. So the Seth and his truck, John, they're working hard down there. They're getting our boats cleared as fast as they can.
Yeah, it's a big job. There's only one computer, one Seth, so it's got to go one at a time here, and he's gotten really good at being able to read that stuff quickly.
So, John, it's going to get really loud up here, and I think what we're going to do is step away from the microphones now. We will come back later on. We're turning it over to the air show. Brad Luce, on behalf of John Walters and the entire H1 Unlimited live stream team, will step away. We will come back with more action on the water. Stay with us.